Let me tell you about the most expensive 5 seconds of a woman named Carol Summer. Carol drove around for about 3 weeks with her AC blowing, kind of warm, not dead, just weak. Just enough to shrug at. I'll deal with it later, she told herself. Every single day, windows cracked, AC still switched on, just living with it. 3 weeks. And when she finally brought it in, that one lazy habit had turned what started as a $40 refrigerant leak into a seized compressor and a repair bill north of $1,000. $40 became $1,000 because she kept driving with it on. And here's the part that haunts me. Almost everybody watching this right now is doing at least one of the exact same things Carol did. So let me show you all 5 before your summer turns into her summer. Because here's the truth about your car's air conditioning. It's one of the most expensive systems to fix on the entire vehicle. That compressor alone can run you $1,000, sometimes more. And here's the part that should stop you cold, the part nobody says out loud. Most AC systems don't die of old age. They get murdered. Killed off early by everyday habits that feel completely, totally normal, things you might be doing this very week with absolutely no idea you're slowly wearing an expensive part into its grave. So today I'm handing you the 5 worst offenders. 5 things you're very likely doing right now that are quietly destroying your AC and exactly how to stop each one, starting today. And I need you to pay close attention to number 1, because it's the one almost every single person is guilty of. It's the one that killed Carol's compressor, and it's the fastest way to cook that $1,000 part in your car. Most people don't even know they're doing it. Stick with me all the way to number 5 too, because that last one feels like you're fixing your AC when you might actually be wrecking it, and it's the most common fix in America. Let me jump straight into it, because number 1 is that important, and I don't want you sitting through a long intro while your compressor's on the line. Mistake number 1, driving around with weak, warm AC and just living with it. Carol's mistake. You know the exact feeling I'm talking about. It's not blowing as cold as it used to, but it still kind of works, so you shrug, crack a window, and figure you'll get to it eventually. Here's why that eventually is so quietly dangerous, and this is the part no shop is in a hurry to explain to you. Your AC compressor needs oil to survive, exactly like your engine does. Run it without oil and it grinds itself to death. But here's the twist that changes everything, the thing almost nobody knows. That lubricating oil doesn't sit in a pan somewhere waiting. It's carried around the entire system by the refrigerant itself. The oil and the refrigerant travel together as a team in a loop. So follow me here, because once this clicks, you'll never ignore warm AC again. When your system is low on refrigerant, which is the usual reason it starts blowing warm in the first place, it is also low on the oil that keeps your compressor alive. They drop together. So every single mile you drive with that weak AC still switched on, you're running that expensive compressor with barely any lubrication, letting it grind and run hotter and hotter with each mile. You're not dealing with it later, you're actively killing it right now. A slow refrigerant leak that could have been a cheap, simple repair becomes a seized $1,000 compressor purely because you kept driving with the AC on while it starved for oil. So if your air's gone warm, do yourself an enormous favor. Switch the AC off until you get it checked and get it looked at sooner rather than later. That one small decision is the entire difference between a $40 fix and Carol's $1,000 heartbreak. Now, if that one already made you sit up a little good, because I hit that button in your gut on purpose, and mistake number 2 is the sneaky one that gets you in the dead of winter when your AC is the very last thing on your mind. Mistake number 2, never running your AC for months at a time. When it gets cold out, you shut the AC off and completely forget it exists until the first hot day of summer. Feels harmless, right? Feels almost smart. Why run AC in winter? But here's what's happening in the dark while that system sits dead. Your AC has rubber seals and O-rings all through it, and those seals only stay soft, flexible, and sealed because the refrigerant and oil keep circulating past them, constantly conditioning them, keeping them alive. Let the whole system sit stone dead for 3, 4, 5 months, and those seals dry out, shrink, and crack just like a rubber band left in a hot drawer for a year. And cracked seals leak. So you go to fire up your AC on that first 90-degree day, and it's weak or flat out dead, not because anything broke, but because it hibernated all winter and the seals dried out and let your refrigerant seep away. The fix costs you nothing and takes about 10 minutes spread across the entire winter. Once a month or so, even when it's freezing outside, run your AC for 10 minutes. That's it. It keeps the oil circulating, keeps those seals soft and conditioned, and keeps the whole thing from drying out and leaking. And here's a bonus most people have no idea about. Every single time you run your defroster to clear a foggy or iced up windshield, your AC is actually kicking on automatically behind the scenes to pull the moisture out of the air. So every time you defrost in winter, you're quietly exercising your AC without even trying. Either way, do not let that system sit dead for months. A system that gets used regularly outlives a hibernating one by years. It's the difference between a machine that runs and a machine that rusts. Real quick, everything I teach is in one guide. Don't get fleeced. Links in the description and pinned comment if you want it. Now, back to it, because number 3 is one you do on the hottest days of the year on instinct without a single thought, and I guarantee you did it this week. Mistake number 3, blasting the AC straight to maximum cold the instant you climb into a scorching, baked-in-the-sun car. Picture it, because you've lived it 100 times. Your car's been sitting in a parking lot in the July sun, and the inside is 150 degrees, a genuine oven. The steering wheel too hot to hold. You yank the door open, drop into the seat, slam it shut, and crank that AC dial straight to max, praying for instant relief. And believe me, I get it, you're melting, it's human instinct, but stop and think about what you just demanded of your AC. You just ordered it to take a sealed box of superheated, furnace hot air and chill it to cold all at once from a standing start with the door shut. That is the single hardest task you can hand the entire system, and slamming it with that job every single time puts real, repeated strain on the compressor. But here's the beautiful part. There's a smarter way, and it actually cools you down faster, so you win twice. Before you touch that AC, roll your windows down for the first 30 seconds to a minute as you start driving, and let all that trapped oven air come pouring out. Push it out. Once the air inside is roughly down to the temperature outside, then roll the windows up and switch the AC on. Now look what you've done. You've handed your system a normal, reasonable job, cooling regular temperature air, instead of forcing it to fight a furnace from cold. It's dramatically easier on that compressor, and you actually get cold faster because the AC isn't wasting its first few minutes battling trapped heat. Easier on the most expensive part, faster relief for you every hot day for the entire life of the car. That's free money. And speaking of things happening to your AC that you can't even see, that's exactly what mistake number 4 is, and it might be robbing you right now without making a single sound. Mistake number 4 is a mistake of neglect. It's not something you're doing, it's all the stuff you're not doing. And it's quietly forcing your AC to work twice as hard as it was ever meant to. There are 2 parts that get ignored more than anything else on the whole system, and both of them silently strangle it. The first is your cabin air filter, tucked away behind your glove box. The filter that cleans the air before it blows on your face. When that thing is clogged solid with years of leaves, dust, and grime, your blower motor has to fight and strain to shove air through it, and your entire system runs choked and inefficient. The second, and this one's the bigger deal, is your condenser, that flat radiator-looking panel sitting up front behind your grill, whose whole job is to dump the heat back out of the system. When that condenser gets caked in bugs, dirt, cottonwood fluff, and road grime, it simply cannot shed heat properly. And when the heat can't escape, the pressure inside your AC climbs, and your compressor has to work harder and run hotter to do the exact same cooling. And you already know from mistake 1 where hotter and harder leads a shorter life and an earlier grave. The fixes here are almost embarrassingly cheap and easy, and they add real years to your AC. Swap that cabin filter when it's dirty. On most cars, it's a $10 part, and a genuine 2-minute job behind the glove box, no tools, and I promise you'll be disgusted by what you pull out. And once a year, right at the start of summer, take your garden hose and give that condenser a gentle rinse from the front to flush all that packed in gunk out of the fins. That's it. Let your AC actually breathe, and it keeps humming along strong instead of slowly cooking itself trying to push heat through a clogged mess. This is the simple maintenance nobody ever talks about, and the reason nobody talks about it is there's no money in telling you to do a 2-minute job yourself with a $10 part and a hose. All right, you've made it to number 5, and this is the big one. I warned you about at the start, because this is the fix that feels responsible and is often the exact thing that pushes a struggling AC over the edge. Do not skip this one. Mistake number 5, reaching for those cheap recharge cans every time your AC gets a little weak. I know exactly why you do it. They're $15 at any parts store. They've got a picture of an icicle on the label, and they promise instant cold in your driveway with no mechanic. But here's the problem, and it's a serious one. A lot of those cans, especially the ones with a little pressure gauge on top, make it dangerously easy to overcharge your system to cram in too much refrigerant. And an overcharged AC runs at way too high a pressure, which hammers that expensive compressor, and here's the kicker, actually cools worse, not better. So you fixed it, and now it's blowing warmer and dying faster. But the truly nasty ones are the cans with stop leak sealer mixed into them. That sealer goop is designed to harden when it hits air and plug up leaks, except it can't tell the difference between the tiny leak you're trying to seal and the delicate insides of your own AC system. So it can gum up and clog the entire works and turn what was a simple findable leak into a massive tear the system apart, very expensive repair. And remember the golden rule from mistake number 1, if your AC is low enough to blow warm, that means you have a leak somewhere, period. Dumping a can into it just masks that leak for a few weeks while the compressor keeps running low on its oil and grinding itself down. You didn't fix anything, you hid the problem and kept the damage going. So the honest move, the one I'd tell my own family, is not a mystery can from the parts store. It's getting the leak properly found and fixed, and the system charged to the exact correct amount with the right equipment. Yes, it costs a bit more upfront than $15, but it's the flat difference between actually fixing your AC and slowly, expensively wrecking it one can at a time. Let me pull all 5 together so they lock in, because underneath every one of them is a single simple idea. Stop making your AC work harder than it has to, and stop ignoring it when it's quietly crying for help. 1, don't drive around with weak, warm AC because you're starving that compressor of its oil the way Carol did. 2, run it a few minutes each month in winter so the seals don't dry out, crack, and leak. 3, vent the oven hot air out before you blast max cold so the compressor isn't fighting a furnace every single time. 4, keep that cabin filter and condenser clean so the whole system can actually breathe. And 5, put down the cheap recharge cans and get leaks fixed the right way. Do those 5 things and your AC can genuinely last the entire life of your car instead of dying years too early and hitting you with a repair bill that flattens your whole month. Here's what I really want you to carry out of this. That $1,000 compressor, that sinking, oh no, the AC's dead again, feeling in the first heat wave of summer. Most of the time, nearly every time, it was never bad luck, and it was never the car just being old. It was small, invisible habits repeated over and over that not one person ever warned you about. Carol never got warned, but you just did. All 5, you don't have to baby your car, and you don't have to become a mechanic. You just have to stop quietly wearing out the most expensive comfort system your car's got, and you now know exactly and specifically how to stop. That knowledge is the whole difference between the people who get blindsided by that repair bill and the people who never do. Starting today, you're the second kind. Everything else like this, every habit, every cheap fix, every is this a ripoff answer that saves you real money across your whole car is sitting in that guide down in the description and the pinned comment if you want it all in one place in your pocket. Now, do me a favor before you go. Hit that like button. If even one of these 5 made you rethink a habit, it genuinely helps us reach the next person out there cooking their AC without the faintest idea they're doing it. You could save them $1,000. And tell me 2 things down in the comments. First, be honest with me, which of these 5 were you guilty of? Driving around with weak AC, never running it in winter, blasting max cold from a blazing hot start. I read every single one. And second, what do you want next? Should I show you how to hunt down an AC leak yourself in your driveway, or the simple start of summer maintenance that keeps your AC blown ice cold for years? You pick it, I'll build it. And subscribe, because I've got a whole garage full of these coming. The cheap fixes, the honest habits, and the truth the dealership would honestly rather you never learned. Thank you for trusting me. And thank you for sticking with me all the way to the end. I'll see you in the next one.